But a lot of times, the idea of taking your child out of that situation and the abuser telling you, I could harm the children, I could kill the children, that again isn't something so far-fetched for them. So it's not as simple as just simply, let's take the kids and leave. It can be, if I try to take the kids, my own children could be harmed. And a lot of times for mothers and fathers, that can be something that's beyond thinkable. They would rather stay in an abusive relationship and suffer from it in order to keep their children from, any harm or death to them. And then the last one I have is social isolation and lack of support, because the abuser is often the victim's only support system. A lot of times when a person has an abusive relationship, the person alienates them from the outside world. It can start with certain friends that they don't like. They may act jealous if it's friends of the same sex as their spouse. And then it can grow from there. I don't like these friends, that's that. I don't like your brother, your sister, your mother, your father. And it can grow into the point where the victim is now no longer, they have no social support whatsoever. And with this, they may not think, oh, I can go back to my mom. They may think, I've done so much damage already to the relationship, I can't fall back on her anymore. I can't fall back on my father. Or my friends have already, I've treated them so poorly, they're not going to accept me back. So it's again that thought of, if I get out of this relationship, who's going to help me? How am I going to get any support and actually leave me? Where am I going to go? I don't have any money or anything. Maybe who's going to let me live with them for a little bit? They may feel absolutely on their own. So they may feel there's absolutely nothing they can do.
We need how many? 5, 7? Yeah, a couple of volunteers. No, you can just stand up. Yeah, let's for just you. Alright, I don't know what to call it. I guess we're gonna call it the web of connection, I guess. I'm gonna start it off. I would like you guys to share a story, a memory, anything that you have about domestic violence. Doesn't have to be about you, it could be about a friend, something you saw on TV. Yeah, I am gonna talk about I'm gonna talk about Chris Brown and the fact that he abused Rihanna, and I don't really like him anymore because of it. And that's what I'm gonna say. I want you guys to talk. I'm gonna go next. Oh, you also have to hold on to the string once you pass it.
All right, so I guess I'll talk about, personally, I knew someone in my family who was in a relationship. It hadn't become to any physical abuse or anything like that. It was a very controlling relationship. There were situations where the person would pick out where the person was going to, what they were going to wear. They would say that they only got to wear pink clothes items, and so they would throw away anything that related to what they wanted them to wear that wasn't pink. I remember telling them, pointing that out, I was saying that's not normal. You shouldn't be in a relationship where they're controlling you like that. And it ended up getting to the point where the person they were in the relationship with was jealous that they were spending time with their own children or with their own family members. And so it got so bad to the point where they eventually did manage to leave them with the support of all their friends, pretty much.
I actually had something pretty close. My mother actually had one of these experiences. Her wife actually started controlling everything that she did. Always, much like you heard here, trying to find out when she's come home and all this other stuff. And when it came to me wanting to go sleep over at my friend's house, I had to ask her wife rather than my mother, who's obviously the person that makes the decisions for me. So, long story short, they ended up, separating after a while. But, it happens. You just never know.
I dated a girl that she didn't let me have any friends, or it was just her. And if I had any other gay friends, I would get insulted and, just knocked down the phone. So then I broke up and told me to die. So, that's how I knew it was bad.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah, thanks.
You have to hold on to the string.
Right.
I had a friend that had a boyfriend that would control everything, even her thoughts on politics, and would she was never homophobic, but when she got with that guy, she completely turned homophobic. She justified. She was like, "Oh, his opinions are okay," and they were never okay. And just like he would just manipulate her into changing her views about the world, people, everything. It was crazy.
Okay, so my experience with domestic violence kind of started when I was a kid. My parents didn't have a very healthy relationship, and I witnessed a lot of just unhealthy behaviors. Like he would always put her down and make her feel really bad, and I guess I used it as an example of what I shouldn't do in the future. And in the future, I ended up getting into an abusive relationship, and it was the same thing. It was very emotionally abusive, and it was a really hard situation. I was really brainwashed, and I felt like I deserved it. But eventually, I kind of woke up, and I realized that I didn't deserve it, and I was worth more than that, and I got out of it. And now I'm 10 times better, so got out of it.
Last but not least.
Okay, so I'll talk about a video I actually saw when I was doing research for this presentation. I was looking at a lot of articles and videos about people talking about their first-hand experience with domestic violence, and I watched this one guy's video, a young guy, maybe 30, late 20s, and he was talking about his abusive relationship, physically and emotionally abusive relationship with his ex-girlfriend. And in the video, he really broke down and was crying and kept saying he felt embarrassed to talk about it, and that he felt this isn't something people are used to, men being able to be in touch with their emotions and actually come out and admit being abused by a woman because of whatever society says. And watching that, it really shows a lot more strength than weakness. It takes a lot of confidence, and it takes a lot of strength and ability to actually share about your experience on camera for millions to see.
Okay, guys, and the purpose of this was just to show that we all look different, but we all have experiences that can go back to domestic violence. We're all connected somehow.
Thank you. And even if people aren't fully aware, it's all around us. In the news, personal, family, friends, it's all around. Thank you guys
Thank you
for
guys for
sharing.
volunteering.
Oh, yeah.
So first of all, thank you all for being here and for participating. This is such an important topic that we don't talk about as much as we should, in my opinion. I just want to say, because I am a counselor, that some of the videos we watched and some of the information we talked about might bring up some feelings for you all. It certainly brought up some feelings for me, and I think this is the place where I come in and say there are resources on campus. I'm sad every time I come into a room like this and someone asks the question, do you all know about the resources on campus? And people don't. That is not your fault. That is our fault as the people who work here and are providing the services. I would be interested in perhaps another discussion at another time to learn about how you all get your information, because that's constantly changing. It used to be that people write emails, now people don't read emails, there's social media, there's all kinds of ways, you're all bombarded with information all the time. But this is really important information that I think it's really helpful to know in what format would be helpful for you to know about the resources. We do have resources on campus for students who are dealing with gender-based violence in any kind, whether we're talking about intimate partner violence, sexual assault, stalking, sexual harassment. One place to go is the place where I work, the Women's Center for Gender Justice. It's right downstairs in L67. And in the Women's Center, we do ongoing counseling, we do crisis intervention, we do a lot of programs and workshops on healthy relationships, on intimate partner violence, on all of these topics. And we also have opportunities for students to get involved and work with us. We have a Gender Justice Advocates program, which is accepting applications right now. But really, we're a great place anytime you have a question about something related to gender justice, gender-based violence. The Women's Center is a great place to come for information. If you ever feel like you need to talk to someone, you can always contact me and set up an appointment. We also have a counseling services center where there are counselors who you can speak with for free. And I don't know if you want any other on-campus information. One thing, since I know we're a little short on time, that you should know is that we also have a community policy on sexual misconduct that covers dating, domestic, and intimate partner violence. And so you as students are protected under this larger law called Title IX, but under our community policy on sexual misconduct, if you or someone you know experiences anything like what we've been talking about today, the school has not only supportive services, but we have steps that we can take so that there are consequences for the person who is committing the abuse if that's something that you are looking to happen. We're not the criminal justice system, but we do have a policy, and there's somebody on campus who's in charge of doing an investigation and making determinations about sanctions and things like that. We also work very closely with public safety. If students are ever feeling unsafe, if you're feeling unsafe in the moment, you should definitely go directly to public safety, but something that I do a lot with folks is help make sure that they are safe on campus, whether that means they have an order of protection and we just make sure that public safety has that, and we can put someone on a no access list so that they can't get on campus. If this kind of violence happens with two students, we can do things like change someone's class or make sure that academically they're supported. So there's a number of different ways that we can support students. But I just today wanted to let you know that there are services here. They're free, and if you have any questions, you can contact me directly.
This is Jessica Greenfield,
Yeah,
in case you
by
guys
the
didn't
way.
get her name. Okay. Be there for your loved one. Try and be there for your friend, family member, because although they may not show it, they need you now more than ever. Remember that it may be difficult for your friends to even bring up a conversation about the abuse that they are experiencing. So a way to be there for them, if they do come and speak to you about it, let them speak. I wouldn't, what happened? I forgot my train of thought.
Let them see.
Yeah, just let them speak. Don't really give your opinion. Don't make them feel, don't say, oh, well, why'd you stay? Don't do any of that, because they're opening up to you. They need to know that you're there for them. What you can do is don't be afraid to reach out to if you are abused. No, this is for you to support other people. Don't be afraid to reach out to a friend who you think needs help. Be supportive and listen patiently. Help your friend recognize that the abuse is not normal and it is not their fault. Focus on your friend, family member, and not the abusive partner. So don't ask questions like, why did they do this? Why that? Because they can only answer for themselves. They can't answer for anyone else. Connect your friends to resources in their community that can give them information and guidance. Continue being supportive if they break up. Do not tell them you knew it was coming. Don't tell them that you're so happy it happened. Just be there for them. And ways to get help. The National Domestic Violence Hotline, Love is Respect, Safe Horizon, the Wellness Center, which is downstairs, and the Women's Center for Gender Justice, which Ms. Jessica Greenfield, that's where she's at. And these are our references, in case you guys would like to know where we got our information.
And we also have brochures that have more info on our services here, like with the room number and hours, email, and yeah.
And that is it, guys. Thank you.